Well, hello everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our Next Level Cruising Expeditions virtual event. Today, we are going to go on a true adventure. And when I say adventure, I mean it. Now, I've been on many cruises and honestly at many trips. And I even think of going away for a long weekend to somewhere nearby where I live as an adventure, but these are truly adventures. These are places on Earth that very few people get to see. And I can tell you, as I went through today's presentation and looking at the imagery in advance, I'm honestly scintillating at what we have to share with you today. And so I want us to get right into it. We've got lots to share. We're joined with experts from Celebrity Cruises, Quark Expeditions, and Seabourn Cruises to share with you some of the world's most incredible destinations. But before we get started, we'll do a little tiny bit of housekeeping. My name is John Mast. I lead marketing for Expedia Group worldwide, actually, for the cruise line of business. And a very key part of that includes Expedia Cruises, our retail chain of stores right across North America. Today, we have a virtual event for you. If you're finding the system is a little glitchy for you, maybe the video just that we didn't play quite right, or you're not able to hear, what I strongly encourage you to do is just log right out and log back in, and very often that'll reset things and fix it up for you. There is a little view adjuster at the top there. So if you want to, you can make the pictures of us get smaller and the pictures of the world get bigger. And part of me is thinking that would be a really good idea on this particular show. This is a very interactive and informational event. These are far-flung destinations to incredible expedition type journeys, and we want you to get your questions answered. So there is a Q&A box in the bottom, and we have experts from all three brands standing by to talk to you and answer your questions. And of course, your Expedia Cruises vacation consultant is always at your beck and call to help get the questions answered, because these are complex trips, and you're going to have questions, and we want to make sure you get your answers. And lastly, this event is being recorded, and we're happy to and will in fact share a copy with you when you're done. And if you like what you saw, we'd be thrilled if you would share that with a friend or someone else you might be interested in going on a grand adventure with. So let's get right into it here. A little bit about our brand and why we're doing these types of shows for you today. We consider ourselves navigators of spectacular vacation experiences by air, land, and sea. We are a true full-service retail travel agency operating right across the United States and Canada. We are specialists in cruise, but in fact sell all kinds of vacations. And we really pride ourselves on making our product available online, in store, in person, or from whatever means is best to serve you. We want to give you the service where you need it. And in times like we're all experiencing right now, that may look a little different than usual, but we have been full steam ahead through these times, helping guests get booked, and are thrilled to tell you that there's a tremendous amount of 22 and 23 product being booked. People are really excited about getting back out there as things are getting better. And when it's time, we're here to help you. So let's go to the next slide. And what really makes us special, and I always like to touch on this in these chats, is that we're in your neighborhoods. We're right across North America. And that means that you get not only expertise on planning cruise and vacations right across really the earth in terms of where you want to go, but we actually bring two extra things to the table. First, we're part of the community. We are literally a travel planning hub in your neighborhood. And with that, we bring local expertise. So for example, if you live in San Francisco, California, and you want to go to Europe or perhaps South America, or maybe even one of the poles, as we're going to talk about today, you're going to need help getting there. Our local experts get people to those places 365, well, not 24/7, but every day of the week. We are helping people fly to these places. So we know the best routes. We know all kinds of extra tricks to find the best hotel, show you what's really important about visiting the destinations. And if we don't have the information, we will reach into our network and do our very best to get it for you. This is our brand promise. And as I said, I think it's just so on point for today's chat. navigators of spectacular vacation experiences. And you can see there that we offer advice and the best value, and that makes perfect sense. That's what made us one of the leading vacation retailers in North America today. But what I love about our brand, and I think it's so on point in terms of bucket list trips and what we're doing today, is that when you come to us, you may have a trip in mind. Our people will work with you. They will ask you better questions. They will dig in with you and find out what you really want to get out of a vacation. And if we're doing our job right, we're going to create something for you that maybe you hadn't even dreamed of. And when you come back, you will be remembering for the rest of your life. And bucket trips, bucket list trips are what we're here to talk about today. You'll hear at the end, we've got some other exciting events coming up, but whether your bucket list is Africa or one of these incredible expeditions to the North or South Pole, or trips into the South Pacific and Tahiti, whatever your dreams, we can help you connect to them and make a trip and plan a trip around them. So let's get into doing that today. Today, we are going to take you to three very, very far-flung and very special places. We are going to take you with seaborne cruises. Mr. Roy Martin is going to help us understand the Arctic and Norway. Then we're going to zip down right to the equator, in fact, to Galapagos. And our friends Suzanne Romero, who's an expert in Galapagos, is going to give us an overview of what an expedition to Galapagos might look like from Celebrity Cruises. And then we're going to move right down to the bottom of the earth, believe it or not, in actuality. And we're going to hear from Kara Matthews from Quark Expeditions about Antarctica. So I honestly can't wait to get started. I think we should just dive right into it and take ourselves on a journey literally right around the world. So Mr. Roy Martin, thank you for being with us today. I'm going to pass it right over to you and let you get into it because your presentation looks amazing. Thanks for being here.
Great. Thank you, John. My name is Roy Martin, and I'm Deputy Director of Expeditions with Seabourn. I've been involved with the expedition cruise experience since 2008. And in general, I've been an avid traveler throughout my whole life. So a quick introduction to my presentation. I will give a quick overview of Seabourn and will then explain what the Seabourn expedition cruise experience is like and why you'll love it. I'll then conclude with a quick review of winter in Norway and the Arctic. So onward towards Seabourn Cruise Lines. Seabourn is an ultra luxury cruise line. With 5 ships in its current fleet, Seabourn offers unique and all-inclusive luxury cruise experiences. With 458 guests on 3 of our ships and 600 guests on the other 2, we sail to all corners of the world, all continents. The ambiance is like a club. It's luxurious yet relaxed, elegant yet casual. The service is attentive and personal. In 2013, Seabourn began its expedition cruise experience in Antarctica, and we've been returning there every year since. In 2015, we expanded the expedition experience to the rest of the fleet with optional excursions in amazing places like Alaska, Amazon, Northern Europe, Iceland, Greenland, and Australasia. At the end of this year, we'll be introducing a purpose-built expedition ship, followed by a second ship in late 2022. So let's talk about our expedition ship. When I say a purpose-built, I mean just that. We designed and built the ship with expedition in mind, coupled with luxury accommodations, amenities, and service. And of course, we also built it with the environment in mind, with numerous features to fill our own responsibility to care for our Earth. Seabourn Venture. So accommodating 264 passengers and 132 suites. All the suites have balconies. Seabourn expedition ships are small and intimate. With 7 dining options, gorgeous lounges, infinity pool, an amazing spa and fitness center, it has all the fittings of a luxury resort, but it just happens to have a constant change in location. Truly a window to the world. On the expedition side, we made it tough and agile and very capable to operate in all oceans and in all conditions. With a PC-6 ice class hull, advanced navigation and propulsion system, a bow lounge that acts as a virtual bridge for greater operational engagement, coupled with an open bridge policy, the nautical experience will be phenomenal. To couple the amazing hosting by the hotel team and the amazing seamanship of the Marine team, the expedition team will be your lens to the destinations visited. A team of 26, the expedition team comprises a mixture of academics, scientists, regional experts, general naturalists, and operational know-hows. providing onboard lectures in a state-of-the-art lecture room, casual conversations, and narrations of the place we sail. They will guide and share their knowledge, their passion with all the guests. From disciplines such as marine biology, ornithology, geology, history, anthropology, botany, zoology, the list goes on. You'll have an endless opportunity to learn and hear the story. And that's the story that covers all aspects of the destinations we visit. Excuse me. We also designed the ship to allow maximum enjoyment while out on deck. So from this photo, you can notice the deck space with over 30,000 square feet of open deck space to view the wildlife and the incredible landscape. Even while inside, you'll have a view of the outside with large windows throughout the ship to keep you aware and in tune with your surroundings. The ship will have a fleet of 24 Zodiacs that will have you exploring off the ship. Optional kayaks are also available to explore the coastlines. And we also have 2 submarines that accommodate 6 passengers for another amazing optional once-in-a-lifetime experience. So not only will you explore remote locations from the waterline and shorelines, but you'll be able to explore the magnificent underwater world that few have experienced. With capability of going down as deep as 1,000 feet, the options are truly endless. So what is the Seabourn Expedition experience like? I should first address the word expedition, as it's essential to clarify to better explain what the experience is actually like. Although the word expedition sounds daunting, the word conjures thoughts of physical and demanding efforts. Even the destinations sound challenging, a mixture of exotic, remote, and intimidating with the perceived vulnerability. In the context of Seabourn Expedition, expedition is nothing more than a new way to explore and experience remote destinations with all the comfort and amenities one would expect from luxury hospitality. Expedition cruising has the traveler interacting and engaging with the destination. Traveling with an experienced expedition team comprised of academics, scientists, regional experts, and general naturalists, this team joins you throughout the voyage, narrating and guiding in all aspects of the experience. They share their knowledge, their training, their passion, from the ecosystem, the physical science, the culture, and the history. The team of 26 guides you off the ships on Zodiacs, kayaks, submarines. You'll make landings on remote beaches, hike places few have walked, cruise along shorelines that are teeming with birds and animals, all while learning and interacting as much or as little as you wish. The team makes it easy. Nothing that is done is challenging or unaccommodating. To all guests, the expedition cruise experience is for everyone, of all ages, and of all ability. It's an experience that is filled with adventure, coupled with great fulfillment as you experience incredible remote areas. Expedition cruising creates once-in-a-lifetime moments that you'll wish to have again and again. The experience brings out the curiosity and the thirst for exploring, learning and discovering things that you only read about or dreamt about. It will capture your intellect, your ambition, your imagination, and your passion for continuing this type of experience in all your upcoming travel. It really does get into your soul and changes the way you travel and how you wish to experience the world. With Seabourn, the service, the ambiance, the comfort, the familiarity, remote destinations become home. As one poet wrote, "I dream in colors borrowed from the sea." Expedition cruising will have you dreaming as you experience some incredible places on this earth, places that are only accessible by an expedition team and by the expedition ship. So let's now look at the destinations of Norway and the Arctic. Although our expedition ships will operate around the world, from the polar regions to the warm waters of the South Pacific, for this presentation, I'm going to focus on Norway and the Arctic. The Arctic includes Svalbard, Iceland, Greenland, and the Canadian Arctic. So let's start with Norway. Our Norway expedition is an amazing opportunity to experience Norway in winter, which is an amazing time. Having lived in Scandinavia for 3.5 years, I'm really excited to share the experience during the magical winter time in the north. Exploring twilight snow-capped mountains, giant fjords, and the second largest coastline in the world. Searching not only for the northern lights, but once-in-a-lifetime experiences that will make this expedition truly extraordinary. Dog sledding, snowshoeing, snorkeling with whales, visiting the Sami culture and seeing their reindeer, overnight winter camps, kayaking, exploring the underwater world of Norway with Seabourn's 2 submarines. Winter in Norway is truly going to be incredible. So now let's chat about the Arctic expedition. The Arctic includes Svalbard, Iceland, Greenland, and the Canadian Arctic, as I had mentioned earlier. We leave the northern point of Norway and head even further north to Spitsbergen, which is Svalbard's archipelago. We arrive in Svalbard early to explore its frozen coastline, deep fjords, and glacier mountains. Our early arrival is timed with the change in the season, approximately 1 month after polar bear mothers and their cubs leave the den, and then they head down to the coast to hunt for seals on the sea ice. Throughout the Arctic experience, you will cruise in zodiacs under teeming bird cliffs and kayak among tall, stately icebergs under the midnight sun. You'll visit Viking ruins and remote Inuit villages. You'll view whales, walruses, and seals up close as reindeer and musk oxen graze on tundra. It's truly a remarkable destination. You'll explore the Svalbard's breathtaking fjords, immense Icelandic waterfalls, the grandeur of Greenland's glaciers, and explore the polar bear haunted beaches in the remote Baffin Bay in Nunavut. So I leave you with this, my ending remarks. Traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. So thank you for your time and for listening. I look forward to sharing the expedition experience with you at some point in the near future. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Rory. Wow. I mean, that was moving fast and just inspiring on every image. It's truly incredible what's out there on Earth if we have the fortitude to go find it. And so thank you for that today. Our next presenter, as I said, we're going to move you around the planet pretty quick today, is going to zip us straight down to the equator. Susana Romero, welcome from Celebrity Cruises, is going to share with us what an expedition to the Galapagos Islands could be like. I've had, out of these 3 destinations, the personal opportunity to do this trip, and my family, only half of them got to go, and the other half, it asks every year, when are we all going to go? And I can't wait to get back. I've been to Africa and I've been to Galapagos, and if people were to ask me to describe it, I would say that it's your safari by sea, and again, so much more. So I will stop talking and pass it over to our friend Susana to tell us all about what an expedition in the Galapagos could look like with Celebrity Cruises. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you for having me. And Rory, amazing presentation. Thank you for that incredible and powerful journey you took us through. Galapagos is legendary, and John, as you know, you will be happy to have you, and I hope that you choose to come back with your family, the one that could make it there. Thank you again, and it's great to be here with you. Galapagos is fantastic, and it's a true legendary, and the biggest thing, important thing that we have going on right now is that we are back, and we have announced our return to Galapagos. So I would like to share with you that story. We're calling it We Are Back. As of July 4th, we're coming back into Galapagos to make sure that you can experience it with us. Next slide, please. We offer eco-luxurious journeys in Galapagos, and we had 3 amazing ships, and I want to give you a little glimpse of what it is that we're planning on there. Next slide, please. Before we do the ships, and before we talk about what our ships look like and what our itineraries look like, I want to talk to you a little bit about our community focus, because I have a feeling that if you're here today, it's not only about going to visit, it's also making sure the places that you visit have a true community focus when it comes to how they come to the market. It is our intention to all be part of the communities that we visit, and Galapagos is truly special and unique. We have programs that include a fund, the Galapagos Fund, where our guests get contribute. Today, we have contributed over $100 million. 100% of what we do get put back into the communities, from putting together soft skills to spaces for kids with special needs to show their artwork, to helping the economy, helping Galapagos and the agricultural and the fishing communities. So to us, it's as important to be there and to be part of it as it is to our guests. We also have the one and only reforestation program in Galapagos, where our guests today have over 50,000 trees. And I'd love to show how that looks. So next slide, please. In case that we're having some issues and has to do with my video, my apologies if you can't see me. I will certainly try to reconnect it. But I also want to everything that we do on our vessels has to do with being kind to the environment, from our water treatment systems to the reverse osmosis programs that we have for our fuel efficiency programs, a state-of-the-art recycling system, the way that we cycle air conditioning water to use for our laundry system, zero single-use plastic usage, and our solar panels. It is truly remarkable what we do in the area. The next slide. There is truly a difference between visiting and experiencing, and I want to share with you what that is. Next slide, please.
There are no other places like it on Earth. A place where the surrounding ocean is the undercurrent that creates a unique web of life.
The Galapagos Islands are unusually rich in wildlife, in large part because of the ocean.
Here, deep, cold, nutrient-rich water is forced to the surface, setting off a chain of events that give rise to a wealth of strange and wondrous animals. The Galapagos lie at the intersection of several major ocean currents, but it is one current that is especially important.
At the equator, a current within the ocean's depths flows eastward, striking the submerged base of the Galapagos Islands. This sets in motion the very essentials for the creation of life.
As the equatorial undercurrent strikes the base of the islands in the west, cold, nutrient-rich water flows to the surface and acts like fertilizer. Algae and phytoplankton bloom, producing the food that fuels the island's life.
The phytoplankton, or tiny drifting plants, are eaten by small drifting animals or zooplankton, which then feed a wealth of other creatures in the islands.
Fish and squid eat the zooplankton and then are the prey for larger creatures.
Birds plunge and dive into the sea, where sea turtles and marine iguanas swim. Sea lions, penguins, sharks, and even whales come to feed.
When upwelling is the strongest, Galapagos is abundant with life. Animals reproduce. The young survive and juveniles grow strong.
With strong upwelling in the west, marine iguanas grow large and dense in population. Penguins and flightless cormorants thrive, as does the underwater life. In the Galapagos, many of the animals are unique or endemic to the islands.
In the Galapagos, the ocean provides the fuel that sparks life. And here, it is rich, wild, and like no other place on Earth.
Able to hear. That was an amazing video that was actually done by our resident scientist, Dr. Prager, actually our marine scientist advisor, and she keeps us on point on science. All of our experiences are all inclusive. Our 10 packages include stays in Quito, Ecuador, post, and again, all inclusive of beverages, activities, onboard programming, shore excursions, everything that you need for this experience. Next slide, please. Very quickly, we can go to slides to show you a little bit of what we do in Quito. We can keep them going since you can't see me. I want to make sure that we can follow these slides. We do a great comprehensive program. We do a private air into Ultra, only for our guests, for celebrity guests. It's a flight going, because it's our intention that you see those to be the experts. And it's truly the way it should be. We'll keep on going. From our vessel, everything that we do via water, whether they're Zodiacs or the different vessels that we offer. You'll be able to hike, go beach excursions, do coastal exploration and kayaking, and advanced snorkeling is something that you like to do. We do it with the Galapagos National Park now. We'll keep on going the slides. What's truly different and unique about Galapagos is how close you can get to the animals. It is the fact that when you get there, these animals are open, ready to welcome you. In the island of Fernandina, for example, you begin to actually see the correlation between amazing animals and the environment that they're in. Here you see a marine iguana that has adapted now to find all of its food from the bottom of the sea. Because there is absolutely no food on these lava fields, these animals have the ability to actually graze from the bottom of the sea, as you see here. As we go through these slides, you'll be able to see the wildlife. The boobies in the islands, the boobies, the red-footed boobies, the Nazca boobies, especially the blue-footed boobies, so friendly and so amazing. They nest on trails, and you're able to truly see them, see what they're all about. The Waved albatross, which is the largest of the marine birds in Galapagos, come to Española Island once a year. And they're truly remarkable birds in their behavior and how they teach their young how to fly from these amazing islands. We'll keep on going through this. Encounters, a marine encounter, you're actually on a beach, you see here, or you are snorkeling with these animals. You will find that the marine life is absolutely remarkable. We offer wetsuits, we offer all the snorkeling equipment that you need, and the encounters will be absolutely fantastic. So 3 vessels, Celebrity Expedition, which is the one that started it all, 48 passengers now, Celebrity Exploration, which is only 16, and then our amazing purpose-built Celebrity Flora, which is an ultra-luxury level vessel. We'll keep on going through this to get through them. This is our Celebrity Exploration, our small catamaran, followed by our amazing Celebrity Expedition, which is our 48-passenger vessel that you see here. It was originally 100-passenger vessel and only carries 48 now. And then we'll move on to Celebrity Flora, which is our ultra-luxury 100 guests, which is the large ship category in Galapagos. And if we go to the next slide, you'll be able to truly enjoy an amazing video to see her. Air Cruises vacation consultants, and they'll be happy to help. I know I'm running out of town. Thank you for being with me here today. John, back to you.
Thank you so much, Susanna, and great job. It's never fun when you get a little bit of technical glitches, but I thought you did well getting through that content, and the videos thankfully told a lovely story, crystal clear. So we were able to get an incredible overview of a very special place. And, you know, for me, the memories just come flooding back when I see all these images. I saw a question go through the chat, and it asked, you know, are children going to Galapagos? I actually, when I went with my mother and father, who were in their late 70s, and my 10-year-old son. The four of us went in 2 cabins, and it's a trip none of us will ever forget. The experience for my son was life-changing, pretty honestly. Like, he still talks about it to this day, 4 or 5 years later. And that time that he was able to spend with his grandparents, watching the world go by and the adventures that he had and talking to them in the evenings, it didn't really come out yet in the presentation, but part of, for me, what was so incredible about the expedition was the camaraderie and the people that you meet on board. You're sharing a once in a lifetime adventure with often like-minded people that found their way to that place. And each evening before dinner, there's a get together in the lounge where they do a briefing on the coming day's expedition, and at the same time you have a drink and talk to your fellow travelers about the adventures you've had. And it's really wonderful. My son, I was only 10 at the time, and often I'd be quite tired from the day's adventures, and he'd want to go to the briefing right away. So I'd send him up there, and it was quite often that I would find him sitting with a group of adults he didn't know, drinking a virgin strawberry slushy and chatting away about the adventures. And I think it's so neat for everyone. And you touched on it, how friendly the animals are. Last thought before we switch gears here, we were snorkeling, I think, on day 3 or 4. And a fellow in front of me was a fair amount ahead of me, and one of the shorebirds actually came and landed on his head while he was snorkeling, which was pretty exciting for everybody, including him.
It is fantastic, John. Thank you for that.
So thanks so much for spending some time with us today. And we'll switch gears now, and we'll continue to head south. And we're going all the way down to the bottom now with Cara Matthew from Quark Expeditions. So I don't know if I'm like most people, but Antarctic, Arctic, I'm forever switching which one is which in my head. So I'm looking very forward to learning more. And with that, we'll pass it off to you, Cara, to tell us about adventures on Quark.
Thank you so much, John. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. And I'm really excited to explore Antarctica with all of you. So when you think of Quark Expeditions, know that we only do polar exclusively. We are uncompromisingly polar. And Quark Expeditions has 30 years of polar expertise built into our trips. And in fact, we've taken more people to the polar regions than any other operator. We take travelers to the Arctic and Antarctica. We don't go anywhere else in the world. We're specialists. So why travel with Quark Expeditions? Well, Quark Expeditions has been in business for nearly 3 decades, delivering polar adventures. We were actually the first expedition company to take travelers to the North Pole back in 1991, which is still a trip we do today. But our passengers were the first humans to witness a total solar eclipse in Antarctica. And we were the first to bring commercial passengers on a circumnavigation of Antarctica as well. So we have the most diverse fleet of small polar ships. None of our vessels carry more than 199 passengers. I really believe that Quark offers something for every type of traveler. So now let's travel to one of the most remote places on the planet, Antarctica, the bottom of the world. And I love maps to gain some perspective. So with Antarctica, here's some fun facts. It's about 98% covered in ice, and it's the 5th largest continent. It's twice the size of Australia. And what's incredible is the fact that this is a landmass surrounded by water, surrounded by the Southern Ocean. So the season spans to Antarctica with Quark Expeditions. We go in the early season in early November. So let's take a look at the best time to go to Antarctica, because we are actually traveling there in their summer. So we go from early November to all the way through to early April. And there's no bad time to go to Antarctica. But I love maps, so let's take a look at another map, because Cork has trips as little as 8 days with our flying cruise program to get to Antarctica, where you can fly across the Drake Passage, that infamous body of water between South America and Antarctica. But we have trips all the way up to 20 and 23 days. So we also explore Patagonia now too. So why travel to Antarctica? The Antarctic Peninsula is a very popular place to explore, and it's really one of the last untouched places on the planet. And so if you are a checklister and maybe want to checklist that continent off your list, we actually are getting off the ship as much as possible in Antarctica. So our minimum age is 8 years old, but there is no limit to traveling with Cork. We're trying to get off the ship as much as possible, but I traveled with an 86-year-old who didn't get off the ship once. And I also traveled with a 99-year-old who loved hiking and contemplative walks. And then there are the penguins. These penguins are definitely the draw of the main star of the show. And they're so inquisitive and so curious, and they often will come right up to you and be very curious about that. Whales are incredible too, lots of whales. I went with my 66-year-old aunt to Antarctica for my first time, and we were supposed to go on a landing, but in true expedition fashion, there were 2 humpback whales, a mother and her calf, that surprised us. So we were in this harbor for about 2 hours witnessing this incredible encounter. And also orcas can be seen. There's 5 species of orca whales in Antarctica all year round. We have geologists, biologists, historians, and we even have a penguinologist, believe it or not, that comes with us to Antarctica. So they're giving not only presentations throughout the voyage, but they're also driving the Zodiacs and explaining things on your excursions. Also lazy seals, leopard seals, crab-eater seals. So as you can see, if you're a wildlife enthusiast and want to explore new places, Antarctica should definitely be on your list. But if you're thinking about Antarctica, definitely ask your Expedia Cruises consultant about other subantarctic islands like the Falklands and South Georgia. So if you've been to the Galapagos, definitely, like we've talked about earlier with Susanna, definitely think about going to the Falkland Islands. The South Georgia especially is known as the Galapagos, actually, of the subantarctic region. So king penguins. South Georgia is home to over 200,000 king penguins. This is the 2nd largest penguin species. There are 17 species of penguins on the planet, but you wouldn't be able to see these king penguins in Antarctica, but you would be able to see them in South Georgia. So I wanted to share that with you today too. I know Susanna also talked about albatrosses, but the Falkland Islands and South Georgia are home to the world's largest black-browed albatross colony. So this particular species, these birds have the largest wingspan, approximately 7.5 feet wide, and they spend most of their time on sea. But if you're a birder, definitely put the Falklands and South Georgia on your list. Cork Expeditions offers the largest portfolio of off-ship experiences. So this does help you get closer to nature with our expert guides and also innovative itineraries and quick deploying Zodiacs. So up close and wildlife encounters like never before imagined. But I wanted to share with you what's included. Both off-ship and on-ship experiences are very important to Cork Expeditions, but we have many inclusions that are like Zodiac cruising that are included with your voyage. We also have hiking opportunities, but now with our new ultramarine vessel, we also have heli flight sightseeing, and of course that exhilarating polar plunge. But there's also paid adventure options that you can speak with your Expedia Cruises consultant, because not only our trips are for leisure travelers, but also active travelers. So depending on the itinerary and ship, we offer additional adventure options such as heli hiking, stand-up paddleboarding, and sea kayaking. And oddly enough, one of our stand-up paddleboarding guides said that about 70% of the stand-up paddleboarders in Antarctica have never stand-up paddleboarded before in their lives, but they choose to do it in Antarctica with us. We do have the most experienced expedition team in the polar industry. After 30 years of polar adventure now, our seasoned guides and expedition team and polar specialists have endless passion and unparalleled knowledge to share with all of you when you come on board. Our ratio is 1 expedition team member to 7 passengers, and they'll even sit with you during dinners and lunches. But After 3 decades of polar expeditions and explorations, we wanted to introduce the Ultramarine today to you. It means Latin, in Latin, beyond the sea. And this is our brand new polar expedition ship. She was just built in Croatia and just completed her sea trials, featuring 2 helicopter pads, 4 Zodiac launching embarkation points, superior comfort and advanced technology for optimal navigation. This ship truly is also a game changer in polar expedition travel. And so the on-ship experience is all outside cabins, spacious suites. We even actually have solo cabins. So if you can't find anyone to go with you to Antarctica, not to worry, you'll find like-minded individuals. So we do have solo designated outside beautiful cabins as well. So just because it's an expedition doesn't mean you need to sacrifice the cuisine and the creature comforts. And I just wanted to touch on health and safety as well, because we are an industry leader in health and safety. Quark Expeditions is the only currently polar specialist with an externally accredited safety program, the British Standard B safety. And so passenger health and safety have always been #1 priorities of us. But now we have continued to build on this, and we like to share with you the 4 pillars that form the core components of approach to health and safety for us, which is clean expedition ships, healthy expedition environment, healthy staff, and of course, healthy fellow passengers. And sustainability, we've touched on that today. John mentioned sustainability too, and sustainability has always been part of our DNA. So with our Polar Promise, we launched in 2019. And so really it's our mission to reduce our carbon footprint. But we also created a Polar Ambassador program. So guests who become Polar Ambassadors take home with them the sustainability lessons they learned on the voyage to Antarctica and can apply them to your everyday lives when you come back to your own community. So it's ultimately about preserving not only the polar regions for our next generation of polar travelers, but that is indeed our Polar Promise. So there is so much to see and do in Antarctica, and I'm delighted that I was able to share literally the touch, a little tip of the iceberg with you here today. So thank you so much for having me. Back to you, John.
Well, it really is our pleasure, and thank you so much. That was fantastic. The new ship looks incredible, and honestly, it's so inspiring. These kinds of trips are so different. They really are these spectacular adventures into places where very few people get to go. And I'm just honestly just sitting here. I can't wait to get going, and I'm sure all of our guests are feeling the same way. I think what's interesting, and we're seeing it in our sales, is that many people are practicing a new form of travel, how shall I say, execution that we are calling revenge travel. They want to get back at this pandemic and go somewhere further, farther, and more incredible than they might have even thought of before, and we're seeing real strong demand for these kinds of trips. So thank you very much. I think what we're going to do next is invite back our other panelists and get into it a little. We're going to ask some questions. While they're turning their cameras back on, I just wanted to make a call out. We have an incredible amount of experience and expertise across our organizations in our vacation consultants and the people that run our locations. And if you're getting inspired and you have questions, I really encourage you to reach out and ask them of these people. And one thing you might want to ask them for is that we've actually published a dedicated guide and magazine all about expedition cruising, which features all these great products and can be delivered to you via email or social media if you like. And you can have a look at it, and it might help get you even more intrigued with some of these incredible destinations. So today we're gonna have a little fireside chat. We've got about 10 to 15 minutes here, and just try and dig in and get sort of probably the more topical things off the list, because we've talked about the incredible destinations, we've talked about the beautiful ships and the animals and the experience, but we haven't talked about what's changed, and travel has changed for the short run, and it really gets down to some of the health and safety concerns that people have when traveling. So we'll sort of go across our panel today, and we'll ask some questions that pertain to that. And I'll start with you, Cara, and I wanted to know from your perspective, how has Quark adapted to ensure that the onboard health and safety of guests is ensured, and that they're in a position to travel, when in fact today, sometimes that means having a vaccination or a test or all kinds of stuff. So fill us in on what Quark's doing in terms of addressing that.
Yeah, that's a great question, John, because we not only have, 4 days into a voyage, rapid testing before everyone gets on board. But what I love about Antarctica is that we're naturally free from crowds in the polar regions. And so, everyone can kind of take comfort in knowing that there's minimal, if any, chance of interacting with anyone else in Antarctica other than the fellow passengers. And so I just think too, if everyone can picture themselves too being in an open zodiac with the breeze of the Antarctic polar winds, going through their hair, and naturally too, you're kind of pulling up your neck warmers and things like that to keep warm. So I really love the fact that we are free from crowds naturally in Antarctica.
That's great, and it's actually not something I would have thought of, but it makes perfect sense. If you want to be in a safer environment, get away from people. It makes perfect sense. So thank you for that. Rory, what's happening in Seabourn with health and safety? What's your line got planned for people?
Oh, great. Thanks, John. As we gradually resume cruising, our commitment to the health, safety, and well-being of our guests, crew members, and our shoreside partners, but also the communities we visit, it's reflected in the enhanced health measures developed in conjunction with governments, health authorities, public health experts, local ports, but also with the Cruise Line International Association. As our understanding of COVID-19 is still evolving, we're working closely with some of the best minds in medicine science, in public health, infectious disease control, to better understand the challenges posed by the virus and how best to mitigate its spread. As such, operational protocols are being designed to be flexible and responsive to quickly adapt to the latest learnings as necessary. So we're doing everything possible to be safe. Testing may be required, social distancing where possible, wear masks. We've upgraded our air management systems and ventilation strategies using enhanced filters and technology to help mitigate the risks. We've also made greater advancements on our onboard medical team and facilities. Lastly, we're working with our local part agents so that the safe environment that you'll find on the ship are also extended when you're off the ship, when you're exploring some amazing ports and destinations. And just as Kara mentioned, the great thing about expedition cruising, it's about the destination. And these destinations aren't your typical ports where you're getting off and mixing with larger amount of populations and such. We're interacting with the animals, we're interacting with the environment. So we're doing everything possible to make the overall experience as safe as can be, but also remain flexible to this ever-changing environment we're currently in with policy changes, and also as we learn more about COVID and everything that's involved with that.
That's a great overview, and you made a couple of really interesting points. I think the first one is the significant investment that I know the Carnival Corporation and the Royal Corporation, and I'm sure Quark and others have made in really helping further science's understanding of how the virus moves around and how to protect one another from it. But that further, there actually is some really good information on the Cruise Line International Association's website about that work. And if people are curious, I believe the website's cruising.org. I hadn't thought to share that before, but it's certainly a place where you can learn about the organization. And that's an organization that many of the cruise lines participate in and work together to advocate for cruising. So I think it's phenomenal. Thanks,
very true, John. Thank you very much.
Susanna, I hope you can hear us and that you're there. And
we're going to give this a try again. Can you hear me?
Oh, very good. Actually, I can hear you very nicely.
Wow.
Here in Vancouver, Canada, way down there. Are you in Miami?
I am in Miami, John.
Yeah, so it's a long way. But please tell us what's being done with Celebrity first and foremost, and in the Galapagos to ensure that folks are safe when they're traveling.
Yeah, and it's a great question because, as you know, being part of the Royal Caribbean Group, we are part of that big push to make sure that we are doing everything that we can, and we've learned a lot. We've partnered with medical and scientific advisors from our Healthy Sail panel, our global head of public health and chief medical officer, and the local authorities to make sure that we're doing everything that we can. And just like Rory mentioned, we have upgraded every system on board our vessels, but more specific to Galapagos. And I think, like Clara mentioned, the fact that you are in this open air environment, in the case of Galapagos, more than 90% of the destinations that we visit are uninhabited, and we're there by ourselves. And our groups are only 8 guests per naturalist. Add to that our crew will be 100% vaccinated, and so will our guests over 18. And the fact that the government of Ecuador has announced that 100% of the population of Galapagos will be vaccinated will make this an amazing destination to visit. Because again, you don't really need to use a mask if you're in an uninhabited island. The times that we go into the towns, we have made every arrangement possible to be the only ones visiting the areas that we do visit. So our plan is robust. Our book guests will be advised of the latest requirements. The Galapagos National Park requires a 96-hour PCR test to get into Galapagos. So it truly is a great process that's in place for our guests to be safe as safe as they can be, and to visit the remarkable islands.
That sounds perfect. It's impressive that they'll take that length to get everyone vaccinated. And as soon as I hear that, I go, whew, let's go. There's 2 things that I've been thinking about as I've been listening. One, and people on the line may not know this, but as far back as last summer in places like Italy and different spots around the world, these same cruise corporations and CLIA have been working together and have sailed safely close to 500,000 passengers already, with virtually no incidents of COVID, just a few. And they have, as we've learned, very clear protocols and arrangements with the ports to ensure that if anyone needs help, they can get it, and they can get it quickly, which I think that's the path forward for travel. I had the personal experience of traveling not too long ago on a plane with my family, and it all seems good, and then you get there and you're like, this is different. And one of the truths of where we were going was everyone in the destination had to arrive with that PCR test that was at least 3 days fresh. And we had that, and we were good. And sitting in the boarding area for the plane, I was like, oh, and I looked at my wife and I thought, we said, gosh, everyone in this boarding area and everyone on the plane that we're going with has tested negative in the last 3 days. That's got to be safer than most of the places we go at home, like the grocery store and whatever else. So I think as travel resumes, we will need to get comfortable with some of these uncomfortable truths that we've all already probably gotten somewhat comfortable with, and hope that as the world heals, they start to fall away as soon as is right. So thank you all for that information, and I hope that helps folks. And again, your trip, whatever you're planning, will have its own truths, and you need to work carefully to ensure with your vacation consultant at Expedia Cruises and within your own means to be prepared. And that's normal for travel. I think it's just a few more things we need to be thinking about when we get out there now. But I know if you're on this call, you're interested in going, and I'll bet you're up for it. I have one more question for the panel before we wind things down. I'm just gonna click my screen here. Yeah, I think this is a fun one. And I'll start again with you, Kara. If you could offer travelers one tip, if they're first-time expedition travelers, what would be your personal tip that you would offer to expedition travelers before they get going?
Well, thanks, John. One tip I personally would recommend is pack your sense of adventure. We're really at the mercy of the wildlife and the weather, and things can turn so quickly into a different direction. One morning you might be going out on a landing like I was with my aunt, and then we were in a bay with humpback whales. One evening we might at 9 o'clock at night, see 40 crab-eater seals gathering krill at sunset in Antarctica. So really every moment is very different. So I really recommend packing your sense of adventure and openness with expedition travel.
Love that. Openness for sure. Yeah, you've got, all travel, I always think you'll have a better adventure if you're open, but when you're heading off into those places, it makes great sense. Thank you. Rory, what can you offer travelers on their first expedition as your personal wisdom?
Thanks, John. Let go. to go into it with no expectation of schedule, to live in the moment and trust the expedition team to share just an amazing experience, to tap into the knowledge and passion of the team, to ask questions, attend the lectures, and take every opportunity to be on deck or off the ship. Truly embrace the expedition by letting go of expectation of schedule. On an expedition, as Kara was saying, we're on nature's schedule. And as the example you gave with your son, attending the lectures and so on. And another thing you mentioned earlier, an expedition is everyone's doing the same thing. It's an incredible community that when you're on board, that everyone learns together and shares that experience together. So my greatest advice is just let go and embrace it.
Let it sweep you away. I love that. Thank you. Susanna, what can you, I have my own tip that I'll share at the end, but Susanna, I'd love to hear from you for that first time expedition traveler heading off to Galapagos, perhaps, or anywhere. What can you recommend from them from your perspective?
It's hard being the third one because they had such great answers that now I'm going to say, oh, just like my friend said. But the truth is, Kara and Rory hit it. It is exactly that. And what I can add to that is be open to the extraordinary. Learn from what you're seeing. What is not possible is possible, because in Galapagos, an iguana dives for food. A bird that flies all over the world doesn't fly anymore. Things that you didn't think could actually happen, and there is an amazing harmony in this part of the world. So open your heart, let your soul be filled with all of these things. And when you come back home, bring it with you. Conservation, preservation, and harmony, I think, are three things that are so important in life. And I think when you do expedition cruising, it is something that you can truly, truly bring back with you.
Awesome. Thank you. My tip is a little more practical, and it gets down to sort of the gear prep. You really, you're going to places where there isn't going to be a store very often where you can just grab. I'm the kind of packer, I'm like, okay, I think I got it. Whatever I forgot, I can always buy when I get there. We made the fatal mistake going to Galapagos. My son and I were so excited. We got all organized. Our biggest challenge was finding sandals that fit our feet that we didn't own at the time in the middle of winter in Canada, because no stores sell sandals in winter in Canada, but we did track them down. But what we did forget, in fact, was a waterproof underwater camera, because we're so attuned to using our phone for everything that we just hadn't got that far in our thinking. So I would offer the tip to travelers that if you've become, like me, a camera phone person, and they're exceptional for day to day, really consider what equipment you might want to have with you on an expedition. And certainly we were able to find one, luckily, through the ship and a fellow passenger for our adventures. But if we didn't have it, we would have missed out on so much fun of taking all these underwater pictures. So you want to think about the photography, because the opportunity to take pictures is like nothing I've ever seen. And I'm sure that might be of assistance. So with that, again, I think we're going to move on and ask yourself this: Are you ready to be swept away? Are you ready to truly go for it and plan the trip of a lifetime? I'm a firm believer that life is short. We have to carpe diem. We have to do these things that that are possible when we're able. And if you're able and you're willing, I strongly encourage you to reach out to our team. And get your expedition underway. I don't want to be too overt about it, but I'll be honest. We are seeing exceptional demand for this product, and there are things that, believe it or not, into 22 and 23 are selling better than they ever have in the history of our business. We're seeing more web traffic and interest as people get ready to start moving around again. So in most cases, I think you're in a great position to put a deposit down with a lot of flexibility around it and make sure you've got a spot marked. I'll make a short plug for our upcoming information events. We've got one coming up from the good folks at Sandals that are heavily across the Caribbean and other places. Very exciting in June. We are hosting, in partnership with our sister brands, brand Expedia of Expedia.ca and Expedia.com, Expedia Travel Week. And that's going to be an incredible 5-day sale with all kinds of special offers on, of course, cruises and lots of other kinds of travel. So I encourage you to check that out. And then if you're interested in something a little more wild and expedition, like we've talked about today, we will have an Africa event for you later on in June. So I'd like to really, from the bottom of our hearts, thank our presenters today. Thank you, Rory and Susanna and Cara, for spending some time with us today. Thank you to all our guests. And thank you to all our vacation consultants and cruise retail owners, franchisees out there who got together and invited you to this event. We're glad you could spend some time with us. Stay safe, and we'll wish you well, hoping, as someone already said on this show, we hope to run into you on a cruise somewhere soon. And if that could be an expedition, I think we'd all be in great shape. So have a great afternoon, and we'll wish you well. Thank you.